What got you up there?
I have a
Grabar. Muy bien, excelente. Y buenas tardes. Wow, tenemos mucha luz, muchísima luz. A las 6 en julio, ¿no? Aquí. Bien, y espero que ustedes estén bien, ¿sí? Que
Sí.
todo les vaya bien.
Sí.
Fantástico. Mañana voy en mi bicicleta al parque de McDowell Mountain. Voy a explorar, bueno, los daños del parque, del incendio. Voy a explorar cómo están los senderos. Y vamos a ver, un sendero favorito mío, bueno, estaba casi totalmente destruido, pero,
Lo siento.
bueno, así es, ¿no? Y voy a ver más por la mañana. Y hace calor, tengo que salir como a las 5:30 de la mañana. Se cae tan temprano para montar, porque hace tanto calor. Bueno, vamos a practicar con, vamos a practicar y vamos a escuchar los cuentos de los demás. If you've got a fun story of your own ready, we'll watch that. We'll have a warm-up video to warm you up for that. Pero primero vamos a ver si ustedes sí o no tienen preguntas del video de palabras confusas, that video on confusing language. Y segundo, las cosas del la historia, el cuento del baile. So we're going to do a quick review to see if you had any questions on these little exercises. ¿Sí? Y esas palabras similares, pero confusas, son palabras muy semejantes. These are words that are they can be confusing because they maybe transpose a couple of letters, okay? Or they add one letter and take away another letter off of the other word. Ya saben, sí, como ojeras, orejas, casada, cansada, esposa, esposas, caballo, cabello, etcétera, ¿no? Y bueno, había varios ejercicios aquí. Y ejercicios de llenar el espacio aquí. Bien. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Is there any question off of that little similar words thing, that something that you didn't quite know what to do with it, or? Oh, no. No, nada?
Nada.
Wow. Okay. Fantastico. Esteban, gracias. You did find a little typo. These are things I took off the net, so those typos were in there. But, aside from a couple little typos, most of it was pretty easy to follow. ¿Sí? Bueno, palabras confusas, confusing words. We're going to kind of amplify on this idea of words that might be confusing with something a little more challenging, but a little more common after today's lesson, going into next week. Instead of just words that are very similar by a few letters, like you see here with harina, arena, instead of words like that, we're going to seg into some work with words that maybe only have one word in English, but have different words when we translate them, depending on the meaning of the word. And you'll know what I mean when we get to that. It'll be, you know, words like dejar, which has a bunch of different meanings depending on the context of how you use it. Quedar, which has a number of different meanings depending on how you use it. Words like tratar or tratar de, and you know, how do we know which word to use if you want to say try? Yeah, y depende, it depends. So that's where we're going to be going after today's class, the direction. Pero, antes de todo esto, before all that, sí, esto, sí, el video de Brenda, en el video de Brenda, era un ejercicio de práctica de escucha, bien, práctica de escucha, y ella repitió el mismo cuento como 3 veces, ¿sí? Y vamos a ver, ustedes tenían que llenar los espacios. You guys had to fill in the blanks here. In this little direction, or in this little bit of instructions. Y vamos a ver lo que quiere decir. We're going to see what this means. And the point with this really was listening for when we tell a story in the past, because of course we always need a lot of practice with telling stories in the past. We need to use 2 different tenses for their past. And this is not the custom really in English. So it's difficult to get used to doing that. And that's why after we review this and we get another little independent example of the same kind of idea, hopefully you'll have a little amusing story about the past to tell, so that we pick out when do we need to use pretérito, when do we need to use imperfecto. Y vamos a revisar un poquito aquí. Aquí tienen las respuestas. Here you guys have the answers. Y vamos a repasar el cuento simple. Hace un tiempo, a while ago, ¿sí? Mi amiga Laura y yo decidimos, aquí decidimos, we decided. Decidir is almost always used in the past in pretérito because it's an action that happens, generally speaking, kind of quickly, okay? And then over with. So, decidimos probar suerte. We decided to try our luck. Here's a try that's probar. You're going to see next week when sometimes try is not probar. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. Decidimos probar suerte, we decided to try our luck, y sumarnos a una clase de baile and sign up, register, yeah, for a dance class. Estábamos muy entusiasmadas de ir juntas. We were very excited to go together. And when we talk about how we feel, we're talking about an emotional or a mental state. So we want imperfecto. We're switching into description mode, right? We were excited is not an event. It didn't happen. It's how we felt. So we have no beginning or end to we were excited, you know, it's just the way we felt. So, imperfecto para estábamos. Estábamos muy entusiasmadas de ir juntas, aunque según Laura, although according to Laura, ella no tenía mucho talento para bailar. She really didn't have a lot of talent for dancing. She didn't really have any dancing skills. Y tenía talento. What I had, well, again, it's not an event. Yeah, it's just the state she was in. There's no clear beginning or end to, gee, I had no skills doing that. It's got to be more descriptive in that world of imperfecto. Durante una de las clases, el instructor decidió enseñarnos un paso de baile bastante complicado. During one of the classes, the instructor decided to teach us or show us. Enseñar there could mean to show or teach. A dance step that was rather complicated. Bastante quiere decir enough, pero aquí no se usa con la idea en inglés de enough. Cuando combinamos bastante con una descripción. Con una descripción, bastante quiere decir en inglés como quite o very pretty. Entonces, bastante complicado es más como pretty complicated, quite complicated, very complicated. Bastante elevates that idea of complicado. Okay, it intensifies it. It's like saying muy, but using a different word to change up our words. See, bastante complicado. So we could combine bastante with any description. I could say bastante bien. ¿Cómo estás hoy? Bastante bien. Pretty good. Quite good. Así. ¿Qué tiempo hace? Hace mucho calor, bastante calor, quite a lot of heat. Ok, así, bien. Ok. Laura, con su falta de coordinación, Laura, with her lack of coordination, intentaba seguir los movimientos, was trying to follow the moves. So apparently she must have been like, trying to do this quite a lot during the dance. This is, setting up the background activity with imperfecto. Intentaba seguir los movimientos, pero parecía más un pollo desorientado que una bailarina elegante. But she looked more like an uncoordinated, disoriented chicken than an elegant dancer. Yeah. Bien. And now we get a background of imperfecto compared with an interrupting event. And that the background of what was happening for a while is introduced with the word mientras. So know that mientras, while, generally is a red flag to say, ooh, I'm going to talk about something that was going on in the background. It's mientras is going to be a signal most of the time for imperfecto, if we're using the past, right? Imperfecto. En un momento, mientras trataba de hacer un giro, at one moment, while she was trying to make a giro can mean a turn or a spin, that action. Un giro, un giro, that's a giro, yeah, giro. While she was trying, trataba de hacer un giro, perdió su equilibrio. She lost her balance. Equilibrio, equilibrium, pero decimos más en inglés, balance. So, perdió equilibrio, she lost her balance. That happened that fast, yeah? But in the middle of her trying to do this spin, this turn, okay? So, perdió, pretérito, trataba de hacer un giro. She was trying to do a turn or a spin, okay? Perdió su equilibrio y se cayó de tal manera, and she fell down. Se cayó también pretérito. So, lost balance, boom, fell over. Both of those are little sequence, right? Two events that happen one right after the other. So they're both pretérito. de tal manera que no te puedo explicar. In such a way, I just can't even explain it. Golpeó una silla que estaba cerca e hizo muchísimo ruido. She hit a chair, knocked over a chair that was nearby is just a description of a location, so imperfecto, but she hit that chair, she knocked over that chair, e hizo muchísimo ruido, and it made a lot of noise, that whole thing made a lot of noise. El salón de baile se quedó en completo silencio. The dance studio or the dance room got completely silent. Everybody stops and looks because of the chair falling over, right? El ruido, all the noise. Todos los ojos estaban puestos en ella. All eyes were fixed on her. Estaban puestos. That puestos words comes from poner. All eyes were riveted on her. So everybody stared at her. Right? And that's description. So, los ojos estaban puestos en ella. Laura, en vez de sentirse avergonzada, Laura, instead of feeling embarrassed, simplemente se levantó. Just got up. Simply got up. Just got up. Se rió de sí misma, laughed at herself, y dijo, bueno, eso es lo que pasa cuando un pato intenta bailar salsa. Well, that's what happens when a duck tries to dance salsa. She was calling herself a duck. Mejor que un pollo desorientado. Better than a disoriented chicken, yeah. Uncoordinated chicken, yeah. Su actitud positiva y su capacidad de reírse de sí misma, her positive attitude and her ability to laugh at herself, hizo que todos se largaran a reír a carcajadas y se relajaran. It made everybody break out laughing and made them relax. It relaxed everybody. Yay, it wasn't me making the big mistake and falling over the chair. Yeah, se relajaran. That's a past subjunctive. Not really important that you know that. You know that relajar, that comes from relajarse. You know that means talking about getting people relaxed. The thing you should notice in this phrase is reír a carcajadas. There's not a great translation for this except to that reír a carcajadas means to belly laugh. Mm-hmm. Reír a carcajadas is used to talk about that kind of laugh where your whole body just shakes. You're laughing so hard that your whole body shakes. That is reír a carcajadas. Probably the closest we've got is bust out laughing. Break out in a belly laugh. That's reír a carcajadas. Okay. Y desde ese día, Laura se ganó el apodo cariñoso de Patito Bailarín. Since that day, Laura took on the nickname, and it's an affectionate nickname because cariñoso, of Little Dancing Duck. Patito would be a little duck, right? Little Dancing Duck. This whole thing of apodos is a very culturally Spanish thing. Keep in mind that apodos, nickname, has kind of a bigger cultural meaning in Hispanic culture as a general rule. There are a lot of apodos, nicknames, which if you are part of a gang of friends, people typically in a close-knit group of friends acquire at some point from young on un apodo, a nickname. It may not sound very flattering. It could, to the English mind, even be somewhat distasteful, sometimes kind of sharp. but it's usually done affectionately in a group of friends. So the classic example of that is that there was a popular TV series in Spain based on a book called Manolito Gafotas. And gafotas comes from this thing, gafas. Gafotas makes some great big glasses. So what gafotas does to the word gafas is it makes them like great big Coke bottle glasses. And it would be akin to a kid saying to another kid, hey, Four Eyes. You would never encourage your kids in English culture to call his next door neighbor or his classmate, hey, Four Eyes. That would be considered super rude, yeah? Okay, I was one of those kids on the end of that when I was a little kid, but gafotas would be something that would typically be used as a, un apodo for a kid who had a great big pair of glasses from the time he was a little kid through adolescence. And it's the kind of nickname that people give quite often in Spanish culture. So here they give her Patito Bailarín. In her dance class, that's what she's going to be called, the little dancing duck. Yeah. Esa anécdota se convirtió, there's our became word, se convirtió en una historia graciosa. This anecdote, this little story, turned into, became a funny story que siempre recordamos en nuestras reuniones, that we always remember at get-togethers or meetings, y siempre le contamos a todo el mundo, and we tell everybody, okay? Nos enseñó que no importa cuántas veces te caigas. It taught us that it doesn't matter how many times you might fall down. Not that you do fall down, because we don't know whether or not that will happen. How many times you might fall? Subjuntivo. It taught us that it doesn't matter how many times you might fall down. Siempre puedes levantarte y encontrar la forma de disfrutar del momento con una sonrisa. You can always get up and find a way to enjoy the moment with a smile. So I'll send you the little answer key down here in your email. And the good thing that I like about her little listening drills is that she repeats the story multiple times and then gives you some kind of a follow-up to fill in those little blanks, right? And see how many times, can you fill in the holes in the Swiss cheese? Yeah, that's the point. Bien, okay. A ver, hay otra pregunta. Is there any other kind of question about that little video? Sí, Esteban, dime. Oh, and we cannot hear you. Desgraciadamente.
I can hear him. I can
¿Sí?
hear him. I hear
¿Sí?
you.
Okay, continúa. Oh, Karen, you're going to have to translate for me. I
Oh,
could not hear
he
him.
wants to know why it's patito bailarín instead of patita, since it's talking about a woman.
Oh, qué buena pregunta. ¿Por qué es patito bailarín? Porque ella es mujer. Pato es duck. That's the short answer. Pato is a duck. Are there female ducks? Of course there are female ducks. Might you say una pata? Oh, wait a minute. ¿Qué quiere decir pata? What does pata usually mean? An animal foot. Yeah, the leg or foot of an animal. Yeah, that word pata does exist, but most of the time it's talking about an animal foot. Wow, that might be almost a not a blue double entendre, but almost, yeah, almost that kind of thing. How often do you pick? So the short and sweet of that is, how often do you pick up a duck to see whether it's a boy duck or a girl duck? Yeah. I
Never.
don't, probably, you don't, yeah, you know, unless you're close up and it's super obvious, somebody probably, they're
It
just
might
gonna use
not even
pato.
be super obvious then.
It might not be even super obvious, that, yeah, right, like, see.
Girl.
You know, like tortuga, are there male and female turtles? Yes, but it's always called tortuga. Nobody calls it tortugo. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
always tortuga. Yeah. Como, y por ejemplo, la rana. Rana, frog. We know there are male and female frogs, but it's always called la rana. So some of those animal words wind up just being one gender most of the time. Y por eso, that's why, patito. Okay.
But dog and cat seem to be different because they're pets, maybe?
Yeah. Quizás, maybe, yeah, because you're up close and personal with your pet that you live with. Sí, quizás, sí. Bien, yeah. But animal words kind of go all over the place with Spanish. Sometimes they have both a feminine and masculine form, like perro, perra, gato, gata. Okay, they have those. But again, a lot of times from a distance, you don't know. But then sometimes some animal words wind up going to entirely different words, like, you know, horse and mare. So there are a few of those that do that, but most of the time you don't have to worry about that unless you live on a farm, in which case then, yeah, maybe you want to check it out, but usually not a big deal. Otra pregunta. ¿Sí o no? No? Nada?
Oh,
Bueno.
I had a question. When she says, en un momento mientras trataba, I had said estaba tratando. Can you say that, or is there a reason?
They would be equivalent in meaning.
Okay.
Estaba tratando, was trying, carries the same meaning as trataba.
Okay.
Yeah. We can take el imperfecto trataba, trataba de hacer un giro, tried to do a turn, yeah. Tratada can also carry the same meaning if we put it into estar in imperfecto and that was ando yendo words, the gerunds. So estaba tratando igual. Estaba tratando gives it more of a movement kind of flow feel, maybe. But that's no hay gran diferencia. There's not a big
But
difference.
if you said it in the present tense, it would mean it was happening right then.
If you said
right?
it right now, it would be trata de or está tratando de.
Right.
But the tratando always stays tratando. Yeah. It'll be either está tratando or estaba in the past. Tratando.
But it's okay to say that was doing something because you obviously it isn't happening at the same moment it already happened.
Sí,
So-
yeah. Estar with the gerund always gives it kind of an in the moment kind of feel, an in the moment kind of flow, even though it's a past tense with that. But we can use trataba. We can translate that idea into was trying in English for sure. So that works. Sí. Eso es. Ok. A ver, otra pregunta o no. Nada. Bien. Vale. Bueno. Okay. And notice one of the words you're going to see next week to get ready for our practice next week will be that difference between probar and tratar de. They're going to be it'll be a little lesson that you'll listen to next week that will talk about these kind of problematic words where sometimes we have two words that we can use either word and they're equivalent, they're okay. But, por ejemplo, for the word try, we can't always use the same word. We do have two words that are equivalent, that are interchangeable, but it depends on what you're trying. Yeah. Are you trying on to see if the size of a sweatshirt works? That's not the same as wow, I tried to read that, but it was all blurry. Not the same. Yeah. So we're going to get into some of those kind of try words and where they cause us some little problems. Bien. Bueno. Okay. Antes de contar nuestras historias, before telling our little stories, those of you who are able to bring a little humorous story, we're going to, as a warm-up to that, hear an amusing little story, which is a short one, to get you kind of in the, to get your brain in gear for telling a little short, amusing story that you wanted to bring to class. And the point of that is to, you know, contrast, can I tell my little story using both preterite and imperfect? And you're going to hear how this gal does this here. It's a fun blast from the past kind of story, although she's very young. Es tan joven. It's amazing to me that she even considers this in her past. She's so young. Es tan joven. Bien. Okay. Es el ejercicio de calentar. This is warm-up exercise. De escucha, sí, antes de hablar, before talking.
Simplemente, esto es algo que todos hemos hecho. ¿Quién no ha usado una ID falsa?
Oh, this is something we have all done. I'm leaving this on because I'm showing this to you on the fly. Yeah, this is something we have all done, and she uses this fancier double word past tense of hemos hecho. We have done. ¿Quién no ha usado una ID falsa? Who has not used a fake ID? She's young enough to think about the time she used a fake ID. So that's the premise of this story. Para que sepan, just so you know.
Para poder entrar a un club.
Para poder entrar a un club. To be able to get into a club. Okay.
Hola, bienvenido una vez más. En esta serie te voy a contar.
And I'm going to tell you a story. So when she says voy a contar, remember, this is more than decir. Voy a contar, I'm going to give you all the dirty details. That's what contar means. It's tell you, but it means she's giving you all the whole long story.
Historias divertidas y chistosas de las veces en las que he sido mala persona.
Oh, mala persona. I'm going to tell you some fun and humorous. Chistosas comes from chiste, a joke. Funny stories about the times that I have been a bad person. Las que he sido mala persona. He sido means I have been. He comes from haber. He sido. This is the past tense. It's really more common in Spain, but she's using it here in the context of, have you ever done this? And to convey the idea of have you ever done this, it is also common in Latin America to use he sido or hemos hecho, that what we call present perfect to talk about the past. It is more common in Spain, but they do use it in Latin America, and you can see the have you ever tense is he sido. I have been a bad person, a bad girl.
Vamos a empezar con la historia de cómo usé un ID que no era mío.
Oh, I used an ID that
Not hers.
was not mine. Usé, I used because it's an over with act. It's done and over with. But when we talk about the ID was not mine, I have to flip back into imperfecto, yeah? Had it in your possession, it was not mine. I'm just describing what that ID was like. That it didn't really have my picture on it. So that's got to flip into imperfecto. No era mío. It was not mine.
Para poder entrar a un club de fiesta. Fue
To be able to get into a party club, she's going to talk about nightclubs, places to go out and party.
hace muchos, muchos años.
Oh, it was many, many years ago. No es tan, ella no es anciana, claro, pero hace muchos años. Tiene como 24, 20, 25 años, algo así.
Yo tenía 17 años.
And to describe her age, she has to go into imperfecto. Cuando yo tenía 17 años, when I was 17.
Y en ese momento las fiestas y los clubs nocturnos eran muy, muy populares.
And so, okay, clubs nocturnos, nightclubs, yeah, nocturnal, okay, club nocturno es nightclub. Nightclubs were very, very popular. Es descripción, nada más, descripción. Eran muy, muy populares.
Mundo quería ir a los clubs y a las fiestas.
Todo el mundo quería ir. Everybody wanted to go. 99% of the time when you say wanted, what people wanted to do in the past, we cannot use imperfecto. It was how they felt. And there's no beginning or end. It's not an event-oriented kind of verb. If they wanted something, it's got to be imperfecto. Quería. Quería ir, wanted to go. Everybody wanted to go to the clubs.
Para poder bailar
To be able to
y
dance.
estar con más amigos
And
y
be with more
pasar
friends.
un buen rato.
And have a good time. Here's one of the ways that it's okay to say, have a good time. Pasar un buen rato. Rato is a short period of time. ¿Sí? Bien. So, fíjense, notice, we don't ever want to have tener buen tiempo. No se dice. Yeah, nobody says that. There are many ways you can express it. You could say, la pasé bien. I had a good time. Or aquí pasar un buen rato. Have a good short while, spend a good bit of time, yeah, with people. That's okay. Bien. Have a good time. Pasar un buen rato.
Mis amigas y yo solo teníamos 17 años.
We were only 17. Imperfecto. Age, not an event. So description. Imperfecto.
Y la edad para entrar a un club eran 18 años.
The minimum to get in was
18.
18. Muy típico.
Así que nosotras no podíamos entrar a los clubs nocturnos.
So that we were not able to get in. We weren't able to get into the nightclubs.
A mí no me gustaban las fiestas, no me gustaban. Pero como buena adolescente rebelde, yo quería ir a los clubs.
Okay, as a good rebellious teenager, yeah, I didn't really like parties, but yeah, as a good old rebellious teenager, I wanted to go to the clubs.
Cada año, los alumnos más grandes de la escuela.
Oh, okay. Cada año, every year. And now you know she's going to be setting up an imperfecto, yeah? Because if they did this every year, it means it's a repeated thing. Every subsequent class as the years pass by, did the same thing. Los alumnos más grandes de la escuela is like saying mayores, the oldest kids in the school.
organizaban fiestas donde había mucho baile, mucha música y mucha diversión.
Okay, so the upperclassmen, yeah, los estudiantes grandes, upperclassmen, they always organized parties with a lot of music, a lot of dancing, and it was a lot of fun. Mucha diversión, lots of fun.
Y eran muy, muy populares.
And those were popular. Okay.
Todo
Descripción.
mundo estaba invitado.
Todo el mundo estaba invitado. Everybody was
Invited.
invited. And again, that's not an event. They were invited. Everybody was in that group. Es descripción, entonces imperfecto, imperfecto.
Pero nosotras, mis amigas y yo, nunca habíamos ido.
But my friends and I, we had never gone. Nunca habíamos ido. We had never gone. This is the same thing as hemos ido. We have gone, but it makes it further in the past, had gone. Nada más. Okay.
¿Por qué? Porque
Because-
no teníamos la edad suficiente.
Because we didn't have
Sufficient age.
sufficient age, but you wouldn't say it like that in English because somebody would look at you funny. I did not have sufficient age. You would say
So old enough.
we weren't old enough. Yeah. Es buen ejemplo. This is a good example of why we don't translate word for word, because you can't just go and look up the word enough. And you're probably going to see something like bastante. You might see suficiente, but you're probably not going to combine it with la edad suficiente. So you need to hear somebody use it in this idea of we weren't old enough. No teníamos la edad suficiente. We didn't have sufficient age. Okay. Okay. We didn't have enough years. We weren't old enough.
No teníamos 18 años, pero nosotras nos sentíamos muy grandes y
Yeah. Nos sentíamos muy grandes. We felt old enough.
creíamos que
And we thought that we deserved it.
merecíamos estar ahí.
And we thought we deserved to be there. And none of those actions of we thought, it's a mental activity, or that we deserve, those are all descriptive kind of things. They didn't happen. Yeah. It's how we felt. So, imperfecto.
Así que decidimos que ese año sí íbamos a asistir al club y a la fiesta.
Ah, bien. And so we decided that year we were going to attend the club and the party, and and that's it. So you're going to get a little drill on this little chunk is useful to know. Notice we got decidimos, we decided because it happened like that. But íbamos a asistir is the way we take ir a infinitivo. You do that in presente to talk about the future, yeah? Vamos a asistir, we're going to attend, meaning it hasn't happened yet, but you use ir en presente. Vamos a asistir, we're going to attend, and that puts it off into the future. But if we take that verb ir and we make it into imperfecto, this is the way people say somebody was going to do something. We can't put that in preterito, and you'll have a little drill next week to put that into practice. So notice that. Íbamos a asistir, we were going to attend. When we want to say somebody was going to do something, we take iba, ibas, iba, íbamos, iban, and we just combine it with the other part of that little formula, a and the infinitivo. So we were going to attend. Okay.
Una pregunta.
Dime, sí.
What is the C? Why is the C before íbamos? What's the purpose of it?
Oh,
Did they-
y sí,
did they
íbamos.
have to- Did they have to put that in there?
The C is just being very emphatic. Well, we
Okay.
were going to attend.
So yes, we were
Yes,
going
we were
to-
going to.
Okay. All right,
Mhm.
gracias.
The C just makes it real forceful. It's like imposing their will. Yeah, we were going. We were going this time. Yeah.
Okay,
The C
gracias.
just makes it in fact. Es buena pregunta. It's a good question. Yeah. And we don't really translate exactly. The C gives us a feeling of this is happening, baby. Yeah. That's what the C does. It has a job, but it's a little subtle job.
Así que lo primero era conseguir el ID de alguien más.
Ah, lo primero era, the first job was to get
Let's see here.
an ID, but what kind of ID? De alguien más.
Mhm.
Well, it looks like someone more.
Oh,
but that-
somebody else's.
Eso es. The way you say somebody else, yeah. El ID de alguien más, somebody else's ID. And the way to somebody else, say somebody else, alguien más, alguien más. Okay.
Entonces teníamos que conseguir IDs de personas que se parecieran mucho a nosotras para
We had to get IDs of people who might look a lot like us. So it was not to take your picture and carve it out like you see in those movies with the spy movies, and then, cut it out with a little X-Acto knife and stick it on a new card. No. It's much simpler than that. Just find somebody who kind of looks like you. Yeah. That comes from parecerse, to look like. So find ID of somebody who might look pretty much like you. Hey, it's dark by the time you're going in. Maybe they won't look too closely at the picture, yeah?
poder entrar al club. Tenían que ser muy parecidas
They had to look, they had to be very similar looking,
o nuestro plan no funcionaría.
or our plan would not work.
Yo le pedí su ID a una amiga.
I asked a friend for her ID. And notice that word for never has to appear, because pedí is I asked for. Le pedí, I asked her for an ID. And who's the her? The her? A una amiga. Yeah. But notice, very, very seldom will people say, yo pedí su ID a una amiga. You gotta have that le in there. Yeah, it would not sound normal to say, yo pedí su ID a una amiga. Yo le pedí, Nobody excludes that le word, right? Even though we're defining it with a una amiga, it is redundant. It is there because that's the way they talk. Okay.
Que se parecía mucho a mí, ya
Who looked a lot like me?
que todas teníamos los IDs de otras personas, nos organizamos para ir a la fiesta.
Now that we all had IDs, we got organized to head on out to the club, right?
Llegamos a la fiesta a las 9 de la noche
Un evento pretérito. We got to the party at 9.
y estábamos muy nerviosas.
And we were very nervous. But now, no se usa pretérito. We don't use pretérito. Estábamos muy nerviosas. It's how we felt. Es descripción. Estábamos nerviosas. We were super nervous. Okay.
De entrar porque sabíamos que nos iban a pedir nuestras IDs.
We knew they were going to ask for those IDs.
Llegamos a la entrada.
We got
y
to the
el
entrance.
guardia dijo, ¿dónde están sus IDs.
The guard said, hey, where are your IDs?
Y todas sacamos el ID.
We took out evento, pretérito, preterite there. We just whipped out that ID. Sacamos el ID.
Aquí está.
Here it
Y
is. Aquí está.
increíblemente
Incredibly,
funcionó.
it worked. Funcionó. Over and done. Sí, funcionó. It worked. Not it was working. Funcionaba. No. Funcionó. It worked. And we went, okay.
Todas pudimos entrar.
We all managed to get in. Pudimos. No es podíamos. Notice she doesn't say podíamos. We were able to get in. She says pudimos entrar. We managed to get in. The pudimos makes it a fact. Not that we just had that ability, but we actually finagled our way in. It worked. If you can say it worked, it flips into pudimos because we got it done. Pretérito means it happened. We got it done, not just we had some vague ability. Yeah. Pudimos entrar.
Entramos a la fiesta y
We went to the party.
honestamente fue muy aburrido.
Honestly, the party was a bummer.
Yo
Yeah.
ya me quería ir.
I wanted to leave. Y es el sentimiento me quería ir o quería irme. She chose to put it in the order of me quería ir. I wanted to get out. Pero es el sentimiento entonces imperfecto. Okay. Imperfect with quería because how she felt was I wanted to get out of there.
Y además yo tenía mucho sueño. Yo
Otra vez descripción. Besides that, I was sleepy.
ya me quería dormir.
I wanted to
Así
fall asleep.
que no pasó más de una hora
Just 1 hour went by. And instead of saying 1 hour went by, we use pasó. No pasó más de una hora. Not much more than an hour went by when
cuando yo llamé a
Llamé.
mis papás.
I did what to my mom and dad?
Call them.
I called them. Yeah, when I called my mom and dad
pasaran por mí.
I called my parents to come pick me up. Para que pasaran por mí, so that they would come by for me, meaning they're going to give me a ride home. Pasaran por mí is the way of telling, I'll come by for you, meaning I'm going to knock on your door and pick you up, get you in the car, and take you someplace.
Al club. Así que las famosas fiestas resultaron no ser tan buenas y populares como pensábamos.
So the parties turned out not to be so great or popular as we used to think, como pensábamos imperfecto. It's a mental thing, right? But resultaron, they turned out, in fact, not to be such a hot number like we used to think.
Pero bueno, es un buen recuerdo de adolescente.
It's a good teenage
Si
memory.
quieres ver más
And she just promotes the other ensuing videos. Aquí vamos. Bueno, es buen ejercicio de calentar para el oído, a good warm up for your ear. Y tienen ustedes algunas historias. Do any of you have some good stories to tell? A little story. Unos cuentos breves. No term papers, please.
Oh, I have one.
Bueno, okay.
Tengo-
Karen,
tengo uno.
dinos.
Tengo uno. Okay. En Duolingo, todos los estudiantes tienen un avatar y un nombre.
Ajá.
Por lo general, estos no cambian, pero la semana pasada, en mi grupo, una mujer siguió cambiado su nombre. Al principio, yo vi que lo fue Hello Karen y pensé, qué nombre tan inusual. Luego me di cuenta que ella estaba hablando conmigo. Ella cambiaba su nombre varias veces por día. De esta manera, ella también les mandaba mensajes a Chris y Sherry. Eventualmente, decidí seguir su ejemplo y comencé a usar nombres diferentes para enviar respuestas. Estaba muy divertido y me mantenía interesado toda la semana. Yo fui la única que respondió así.
Ok, bien. Ok. Gracias. Muy bien, muy bien. Otro cuento. Gracias, Karen. Sí, bueno, sí,
pregunta,
Janet. Oh, sí,
pregunta.
un momento.
I
Janet.
said, estaba muy divertido y and I wasn't sure whether to use mantenía or mantuvo interesado because I mentioned a week. I mentioned a time period.
Mantenía.
Mantenía. Okay.
Sí, mantenía. Porque es algo continuo, ¿no? Something that was going on
Continued.
for a while. Even though you're mentioning una semana, somebody might use either one in that situation if they really want to, give it that finality. They might say mantuvo, but usually mantenía. Sí.
Okay.
Buena pregunta. Ok. Excelente. Muy bien. Janet, tu cuento.
Ok. La semana pasada fui a Nevada para visitar a mi hija menor. Ella ha estado enferma por más de un mes. Fue la primera vez que viajé a Nevada por avión en vez de conducir. Hice una reservación para un vuelo al aeropuerto Harry Reid. Llegué a Nevada, bajé del avión y empecé a caminar hacia la sala de reclamación de equipaje para encontrarme con mi yerno. Mientras caminaba, vi un anuncio. Bienvenido al aeropuerto McLaren. Ay, estaba
McLaren, no es
ansiosa.
Harry Reid.
Sí, estaba ansiosa y nerviosa. Me pregunté a mí misma, ¿dónde estaba? ¿Estaba en el aeropuerto equivocado? Llamé a mi hija, que me dijo, mamá, está bien. El nombre cambió el año pasado, pero todavía en muchas partes se usa el nombre Harry Reid. Seguí caminando hacia la sala y allí estaba mi yerno con una gran sonrisa.
Wow. Cambió el nombre. Entonces hay un nombre viejo.
Sí. Y mi boleto, escrito en mi boleto, Harry Reid.
¡Ay! ¡Qué confusión!
Yeah.
¡Wow! ¡Qué confusión! ¡Ay!
Sí.
Ah,
Pregunta. When I said the name changed last year, cambió or
cambió. Sí,
cambió?
cambió.
But still in many parts they uses the name. Is it usa or se usa?
Por lo general se usa.
Se usa. Okay.
Por lo general. Because you're talking about the great populace at large, yeah?
Okay.
You wouldn't confuse anybody by saying usa, but
Mhm.
se usa, sí.
Okay.
Creo que sí. Bien hecho. Wow, cambiaron el nombre. Pero sí, Harry Reid era senador
Sí.
por años y años y años. Y ahora el nuevo nombre ¿es el lugar geográfico o es de otra persona?
No,
No
sé.
sabes. Ok.
No sé.
Estoy curiosa, estoy curiosa. Bueno, Guy, qué susto. That would put a scare in you. Qué susto. Volé tanto tiempo para llegar a otro aeropuerto. ¡Qué horror! Bueno, otra historia. Any other little stories somebody Kathy, sí, bien.
I may have told this in English to some of you before, I don't know.
No, paciencia, paciencia.
Hace muchos años, cuando yo era maestro de preschool, en la ciudad de Kansas, nosotros cantábamos la canción del alfabeto todos los días. Un día, una garrapata, a tick, me picó en el césped de la escuela. A tick bite in the schoolyard. La
Wow.
garrapata me dio la enfermedad de Lyme. La enfermedad afectada mi memoria. I guess that's it. It affected my memory.
Memoria.
Memoria. Okay. Un día nosotros cantábamos A, B, C, D, E, F, G, y de repente, suddenly, dejé de cantar. I stopped. No podía recordar el resto de la canción, which I had been singing every day for years. Okay. Afortunadamente, era abril. It was April. Y los niños ya sabían la canción y terminaron la canción sin mí. They did it without me.
That was
Nunca olvidé la canción después de eso. I've never forgotten the song.
Ay, bien. Bueno, Kathy, ¿sabes qué? En ese punto, debes decirles a los niños, niños, era un examen para ver si ustedes sí saben el abecedario. Yeah, that's really to see if you know your ABC.
Oh,
right.
I could have just pretended to be testing them, couldn't I?
Una falsa prueba, fake quiz. Sí.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Eso es. Me gusta. Bien. Bueno, gracias. Muchas gracias. Bueno, sí, tick is not a word I would have to look up the word tick. Yeah,
Yeah.
not something I use a lot. Yeah.
It's garrapata, and I've used it a lot because I've made some Spanish papers about Lyme disease for doctors that I take to conferences.
Exacto. Muy bien. Ok, gracias, muchísimas gracias. ¿Quién más? Who else? Next, sí, bueno, sí, Pat, let's take you next, sí. Oh, we got two Pats.
Oh.
Pat Kutzbach, we'll let you, you're going ahead, so good. There we
La
go.
última vez que estuvimos en Jamaica, traje a casa dientes de tiburón para mis nietos. Mi esposo decidió que les diría que se los arrancó de la boca al tiburón porque lo mordió. Las niñas estaban tan asombrados que la dijeron a su maestra. La próxima vez que la maestra dijo que mi esposo preguntó si se había curado de la mordedura de tiburón, tuvo que explicar que era un cuento inventado antes de dormir.
Un cuento de hadas, a fairy tale, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, he
Sí.
tells him a story every night. Yeah.
Cuento de hadas, sí. Dientes de un tiburón, que un tiburón es el pescado enorme, que sí, con dientes.
Oh.
Sí, con dientes enormes, sí, como Jaws. Sí. Sí, dientes de tiburón, shark teeth. Wow. Que shark teeth. Ok, vale, sí. Gracias, Pat. Y la otra Pat, our other Pat.
Gracias.
La segunda Pat.
Hace muchos años desde yo tenía un perro grande, se llamó Sam. Sam le gustaba comer legumbres y frutas de nosotros jardín, como fresas y califlor.
Cauliflower.
Y también una vez albaricoques del árbol.
Wow.
Preparación para tenemos en preparaciones para el Día de Gracias. Comprimos 10 libras de papas. Y porque no había espacio en la casa, ponerlos,
Ponerlos, put
them en el patio.
en el patio. Ok.
Y el patio más frío también.
Donde hacía más frío. ¿Sí?
Hasta
Ok.
la mañana, sí.
Ok.
Durante en la mañana no pudimos encontrarlos las papas. Mi perro y el perro de mi madre comieron todas las papas.
10 libras, 10 pounds.
Wow. Tuvimos que comprar más papas para la fiesta.
Wow. Ay. Me gusta mucho, Pat, que tú usaste le gustaba. I like that you have the le gustaba, he liked. Just one little thing, if you want to say a dog was called, that will always be se llamaba. El perro se llamaba Sam.
Okay.
Even though you might think my dog is long gone, el perro de tu infancia, de tu juventud, ¿sí? Whenever we talk about somebody being named something in the past, just like decidir always goes to pretérito, llamarse, to be called. When we want to say somebody was called or their name was, we always use that in imperfecto, because that's always considered a description, right? How somebody is called is never pegged to a time. Es lógico, no? Yeah, okay, you might say, well, if you try to be too logical, you might say, but my dog only lived 18 years, so isn't it all over with? But no, he was called for a very long time, and he was always called that. So it's very repetitious kind of verb as opposed to being an event. Yeah.
Estaba llamado.
Estaba llamado, or most people would just phrase it. está bien, it's okay to say está llamado, he was called, but most people would leave it as se llamaba.
Se llamada.
Se
Okay.
llamaba. Mi perro se llamaba Sam.
Okay.
Most people would phrase it that way. He used to be called Sam because we called him Sam, muchas veces. You know how many times you called him Sam? Everybody called him Sam. So, repetición se llamaba. Usually the simplest way is the most used, and that it's just se llamaba. Bien? So that's one little new tool, okay, to put in your toolbox. Bien. Pero the rest of it, you had really good tenses. You did a nice balance between pretérito and imperfecto. Bien. Bueno, alguien más, somebody else. Alguien más. Pat, sí.
Hace 2 semanas estaba subiendo en mi coche cuando de repente un saltamontes trató de entrar en mi coche conmigo. Cerré rápidamente la puerta mientras me sentaba. Éxito, no había saltamontes entró en mi coche. Desafortunadamente, cerré la puerta tan rápido que me golpeó y me dejó con un golpe en un moretón en la frente de mi cabeza.
En la cabeza.
Yeah, right here. I had a
Pegaste la cabeza. You banged your head.
bang my head. I was trying to sit down so fast and close the door.
Yeah. Okay. I missed a little bit. You were closing it to, I missed your word for some reason. You're closing it fast to.
Oh, while I was sitting down is what I was.
Okay. Yeah.
And later I said I was closing the door so fast that I hit my head.
Okay.
I was trying to say I was closing it fast while I was sitting down. You know, you start sitting down and then I close the door really fast.
Okay.
But not a little too fast, but the grasshopper did not get in.
Okay. Oh, grasshoppers. That's what I was missing. Okay. That's what I was missing there. Okay. Saltamontes. Sí. Bien. Okay. Bueno, sí. Ay, en la cabeza. Sí. Yeah. There's a.
It was a surprise.
Sí. Bien. Okay. Gracias. Muy bien. Alguien más. Somebody else got a story for us here. Algo más. Bueno, Susana.
Sí.
Susana.
Cuando tenía 24 años, aprendí a esquiar. La primera vez que usé, and I use this word, la telesilla, the chairlift.
Oh, okay.
Creo que sí, sí.
Yeah. Me caí de cara cuando me bajé.
Y
Sí.
eso es
Entonces,
común.
yeah. Entonces escuché un hombre joven decir, hey, te conozco. Fui a la escuela secundaria contigo. Estaba muy avergonzada.
Bien, sí. Es muy común caerse cuando sales de esa silla, ¿sí? Que te llevan, ¿sí? Arriba a la cima de la montaña. Es difícil salir. Realmente es difícil salir.
Yeah, I didn't know how to say face planted, so I
Me caí
decided to join.
a boca abajo. Creo que se dice boca abajo. Your mouth down, creo.
Yeah.
I think. Voy a buscar, ¿sí? Sí.
I just had one question. When I said I was very embarrassed, would I use, because I'm talking about me, avergonzada?
Avergonzada.
Zada, not zado, right?
Avergonzada, because you're talking, see, right. If we were talking about ourselves, if you want to say I was embarrassed, Estaba muy avergonzada. Estaba avergonzada. Tenía vergüenza, maybe. Tenía vergüenza. Vergüenza is more like shame, but you know, a lot of times if somebody is really mortified, they might express it as tenía vergüenza. But estaba avergonzada. Perfecto, perfecto. Bien. Oh, yeah, face down. Boca abajo. Boca abajo. Y también de cara al suelo, with your face on the floor. Sí, pero boca abajo, meaning your mouth is down that way, see, boca abajo. Ok, a ver, muy bueno. Me gusta mucho. Bien, ¿alguien más? Anybody else got a little story for us? ¿Sí o no? No. 1, 2, 3. Bien, ok, vale. Muchísimas gracias. Me gusta mucho que ustedes hayan podido expresarse. I'm really happy that you guys have been able to express yourself a little bit. It's a great thing to be able to do. We're going to have a different kind of story for the coming week. It's going to be a little more conversational in terms of giving opinions rather than telling a story. So next week, we're going to switch to kind of opinion mode as opposed to telling a story in the past, because we want to mix it up a little bit and do something different every week. So one of your videos is going to be comparing two cities, which area somebody likes best. And the other video is going to be more focused on not really grammar at all, but more this thing of these words that we find difficult to translate. So I'm going to give you a mini introduction to the longer video you're going to watch, because the longer one is going to talk about many different words, but this is going to isolate one of them. And it's a word you heard part of it in part of one of our earlier videos, but it shows how words sometimes are not what you expect them to be, because we try to translate, but we have to know the context of how we're using it. So here's a short snippet of just a part of the kinds of words you'll be studying in the coming week. Aquí, bien.
O no funciona. Y usamos tratar o tratar
momento.
de cuando hacemos un esfuerzo para...
I need to refresh that.
Oye, Cody, eso se ve muy rico.
Hey, Cody, that looks really good. That looks yummy. Eso se ve muy rico. That looks really good tasting.
¿Qué es?
What is it?
¿Quieres tratar?
¿Quieres tratar? ¿Quieres tratar? You want to try it. And he used tratar. You've heard tratar today. What he wants to say is, do you want to try it? But you cannot use tratar for trying out a drink. So she's going to say, what did you say?
¿Qué dijiste?
¿Quieres tratar?
Want to try it? No. We cannot. I know tratar does mean try, but not in this sense.
Ojo, probar lo utilizamos cuando hablamos de comida, ropa o para ver si algo funciona.
Okay, o no funciona. Probar is the word we use. So if you want to say you're trying something, like you're going to put it in your mouth, try it, because you want to taste it. Yeah? You want to sample it. That's not tratar. That is probar. Think of a little flying bug, like a butterfly, una mariposa, and think of them probing, probar. Ooh, probe. There's a mental association. Probing a little flower with his tongue. Probar is to probe something. Con eso, con la lengua. All right. So probar, when we taste something, either sipping liquid or food, try it out. Also probar for trying on clothes, para ropa, for clothing. And Also, it's used sometimes when we talk about an object that works or does not work. Yeah.
O no funciona. Y usamos tratar o tratar de cuando hacemos un esfuerzo para lograr algo.
And we use tratar, or tratar de is a little bit better because really those two words have to go together. Tratar de means to try when you're attempting to achieve something. You want to get something done, and attempt being the functional context there. So it's not quite as easy as, you know, we just say try. Oh, try to do it is not the same as, hey, try this pastry. It's great. Okay, there are two separate words that have that job of try in English. So you're going to get a longer video that shows you more of these words that will, you know, help you to get a better feel for why we use particular words in one context or another. So one of your videos will be a longer, much longer version of that little shorty. Aquí, here it is. Throw, try, discuss. Wow. And they're going to give you a whole series of words, but they're kind of interesting and fun to know and useful to know. Very, very useful to know. Okay, a ver. El otro video es algo de comparar dos ciudades. La otra tarea será un video de opiniones. Varias personas van a opinar. They're going to give their opinion. Van a opinar de la calidad de vida en una ciudad versus otra ciudad y por qué un lugar es mejor que otro lugar. Y ustedes van a conversar un poquito en grupos más pequeños de comparar dos ciudades, dos pueblos, lo que sea. No tienen que ser ciudades muy grandes, pero lo que quieran, whatever you want. You're going to be comparing two places and talk about whether that you prefer one place over another and why. So that would be a very non-grammar, but just expressing opinion kind of exercise for next week. And then you'll get the added thing of a little exercise with that structure of was going to do something, how we express that in English. Okay, or in Spanish, en español. Okay, a ver, vamos a leer un poquito. We're going to read just a little bit. We're going to finish up with a very tiny bit of reading, just to see how much you guys can get in on the fly. Es algo bastante fácil. I will help you over some of the little humps because we'll only do a little bit of this. I think I will try to send you this article, though I'm going to try to do a cut and paste and put it into a little article so you can read the whole thing. Wow, momentito. Oh, y hay un error. There's an error in this translation. Let's see if I bet you'll pick it up pretty fast. Hay un error. Here's an AI error. Eso no. Los fuegos artificiales navideños, no. No es navideños. They were trying to translate the word holiday. And what did AI do? It said Christmas fireworks.
Yeah.
No es así. This goes to show you, you cannot trust absolutely everything. You know, AI gets it right, I would say about 90% of the time, but there's always some great big, wow, vi el título y el titular y me pregunté por qué. Los fuegos artificiales del Día de Independencia, navideños no. Los fuegos artificiales del Día de Independencia empeoren la calidad del aire en todo el país. What does that titular, that title, tell us? That fireworks
Worsen the quality of air quality.
worsens your air quality. Buried in the middle of empeoran, yeah? It's plural because fuegos artificiales. But buried in the middle of empeoran, we've got peor, worse. So empeorar is to make worse. So it worsens our air quality. Seattle, la ciudad de Nueva York y Los Ángeles estuvieron entre los lugares con altos índices de calidad del aire después de las celebraciones de fuegos artificiales. Okay. Oh, el humo, the smoke de los fuegos artificiales, como la celebración del 4 de julio de Macy's en Nueva York el martes, puede contribuir a disminuir. Sí, disminuir la calidad del aire. Ok. El índice de calidad de aire el miércoles on Wednesday por la mañana in the morning. And now it's going to say, it uses the verb alcanzó, reached. Alcanzó el punto de referencia poco saludable.
Point of reference?
Yeah, reach, es como decir un nivel. It's like saying, reached a level of
Poor health.
Quality.
Yeah, very very little health. Poco saludable. Unhealthy.
Less healthy air.
Es como decir unhealthy. Poco saludable. En ciudades de Estados Unidos, incluidas Seattle, Los Ángeles y Pittsburgh, millones de estadounidenses, millions of
Americans.
Citizens.
U.S. citizens, sí, han sentido, have felt, han sentido los efectos del humo denso.
The effects of dense smoke.
The effects of dense smoke de los incendios forestales canadienses.
Canadian forest fires.
From Canadian forest fires en las últimas semanas.
Last week. In the last weeks.
In the last few weeks, ¿sí? Pero los expertos dijeron, but
experts
said que el smog esta vez,
this time,
probablemente sea, probably might be, sea, there's a subjunctive, probably might be, sea, una combinación de los fuegos artificiales del 4 de julio. ¿Sí? Combination of fireworks and 4th of July. El aire estancado, stagnant air. Y en algunas áreas, los incendios forestales de la costa oeste. And in some places, yeah? Fires from West Coast. Okay. Las principales ciudades suelen ver estos picos en el índice. The major cities, las principales ciudades, suelen ver, usually see these peaks en el índice, these spikes, yeah, in the index. El índice de calidad de aire después de las celebraciones del 4 de julio.
After July
The-
4th.
See, after 4th of July, which is why AI did navideños. It looked at that word holiday, and look, in English, it was trained on the word holiday to talk about Christmas, and that's why AI made that mistake. Profesor asociado de investigación de la Universidad de Colombia y asesor de contaminación. Ok, básicamente, hubo un gran aumento. Basically, there was a big aumento,
Increase.
increase en la contaminación, Contaminación es
Contamination.
sí, pero en la lengua común se dice pollution. Pollution se dice con más frecuencia contaminación. En la contaminación por partículas anoche, on account of particulates. So they just use that same word of particulates, partículas anoche, last night. ¿Sí? Todavía persiste hoy.
Still persists.
Still
today.
Still persists
It still
today.
persists to say, or you could say in English, it's still going on. Yeah. They could have said, todavía sigue hoy. It still continues. That would be okay. Persiste hoy. Persiste because es una idea más negativa, persistir en este contexto, ¿no? Todavía persiste hoy, pero espero que no dure mañana. Espero. I expect that
It won't continue tomorrow.
it's not going to continue tomorrow. And that dure comes from durar. Durar es un verbo, sí. Durar es to last. To last. And it's, I think, very connected to the idea of the word durante, during. Yeah. Because during is talking about something lasting for a certain amount of time. Creo que opinión. Opinión, here's one of your opinion words. So be on the lookout for opinion words. Creo que el riesgo para las personas sanas es bastante bajo. We've got a combination of bastante with a description. I think that the risk
for
Health risks.
people's health is low.
healthy people is fairly quite pretty low, bastante bajo, quite low, pretty low. Yeah, pretty not in the idea of attractive, but pretty in the idea of quite, pretty low. Ya que de corta duración, but probably just short duration. Y aquí hay cifras, we've got a whole bunch of numbers here, see? Buena palabra. El promedio nacional de contaminantes del aire. Promedio es buena palabra.
Average.
Average. Promedio quiere decir average. El promedio nacional. What kind of average, Dee?
National average.
National average. And what is that national average of? De contaminantes del aire.
Air pollution.
Of air pollution, ¿sí? Es aproximadamente de 42% más alto.
42%
Higher.
42% higher. En el periodo de 24 horas después de las 8 de la tarde del 4 de julio.
So in the period that's 24 hours after 8 p.m.
After
on
8 p.m.
July
on the
4th.
4th of July. En comparación con un día promedio.
Average day.
Compared with an average day. So we looked at this so that you could look at some comparison ideas, yeah, and some opinion ideas creo que, or opino que are words that you can use next week. Opino que, creo que. Both son equivalentes. They're equivalent. When you want to say, I think, you can say, yo pienso, I think, right? Pero en una conversación coloquial es más frecuente, creo, que decir, creo que, I think that, o opino que, I have the opinion that. So there are many ways to say, I think, pienso que, creo que, opino que. Entonces, think about that, because the video you've got coming up next week, you're going to want to talk about your opinion with somebody in a smaller group. You're going to be comparing two places. You're going to want to name those places, compare which one you like better, tell why. Again, it's going to be like telling your little story, but a little bit less complicated. You won't be thinking about tenses, but rather descriptions, okay? We're going to flip to a little bit more description for your conversation next week. ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
Bien.
Ok, vale. Bueno, entonces vamos ustedes van a tener una lección larga, un video largo de palabras